The federal judge in the trial of former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort and his deputy Rick Gates has issued a gag order. The ruling doesn't completely prevent attorneys and their clients from talking, but it does warn them against making statements that might prejudice the case, like charging them with things like the prosecutors did. Defending themselves apparently in public is, well, not permitted. The House Intelligence Committee has decided to strike a deal with the co-founder of the political smear machine, Fusion GPS. It's the outfit that authored the infamous Trump Dossier. The panel will lift its subpoena, and Glenn Simpson will meet behind closed doors with them. Do you see the theme here? Gag orders, closed doors. Simpson's attorneys say he won't plead the fifth, as two fellow executives did just last month. Joining us now, Judicial Watch's head of investigations and research, Chris Farrell. Chris, great to have you with us. Let's start with this. Why are they playing footsie with Glenn Simpson, withdrawing subpoenas and acting like he is some kind of deal here, when in point of fact, it's obvious what his role was and what he did?
Yeah, I mean, Fusion GPS was not an opposition research firm. It was an opposition manufacturing firm. They were in the business of not digging up dirt, but, creating it and then smearing it around, as you referenced earlier. This move by Simpson, to do a special deal with limited questions behind closed doors, maybe they think they're getting some super insight. But again, this is the problem with congressional committees, because very often it's just a soundbite event, and people come out and
so
then
why are they acting like chumps, and why are they elevating him by putting him in some sort of preferred position?
Right.
When we're watching should be investigated vigorously by justice, the FBI, you name it.
The real answer is this is a gross leadership failure. That's where you have to go in analyzing this. You can't talk it away. You can't say, oh, gee, maybe next time. This is nothing else but a leadership failure. And when I say that, I mean specifically, obviously, Mr. Ryan, but even the other members in leadership, at the committee level, because you can't have a guy like this come in and cut his own special deal, which arguably places him, he's placed in direct opposition to his two partners. A couple of questions come to mind here, Chris.
I mean, one is, where is House oversight here? Where in the world is the House Judiciary Committee here? What in the world are they doing? Because they're acting like little pink poodles who are afraid to get into the arena. And they certainly don't want to be held accountable for an effective investigation of pressing national issues, national security issues.
Yeah, I'll be blunt. They're nearly worthless. They're good for, what we're discussing right now, and that is bringing up the topic. But what we really need here is the Attorney General of the United States and the Department of Justice, to impanel grand juries and start indicting people. It's time.
What's it going to take? What's it going to take?
I don't know how much more twisted and perverted it can get, frankly. I don't know. I mean, we're at the point now where there's substantial evidence to go before a grand jury. The only thing missing is a dead body. Maybe that will come along at some point.
Well, there are some, as you know, who would argue they have that body.
Yeah, that is true. But I'm speaking with respect to with regard to Fusion GPS. But look, these are the people that dispatched the Russian attorney to meet with Donald Trump Jr. After the meeting, they recover her back and debrief her. All the same time, or very shortly after that date, perhaps even concurrently, Mrs. Clinton is funding their operations.
Well, let's go to Andrew McCabe, number 2 at the FBI. Never recuses himself. Never. We find that out. What are you, when you find these things out that are just, frankly, there is not any part of it that isn't shocking and appalling. But when you find these things out at this level, what is to happen? I mean, there is no reaction. There is no reflex from prosecutors, from the Attorney General, from the Director of the FBI himself. It is maddening to witness.
And, and the supposed check on that are illustrious committees of Congress who do virtually nothing. So then it's left really to watchdog organizations like Judicial Watch and those few sane voices in the media to, point this out, call attention to it, and demand that something be done. But all the normal mechanisms of government are failing. And that's why I said to you just over a week ago, we are in danger of sliding further and further towards being a failed state.
Right.
And those are very serious words, but I mean them. It cannot continue this way.
Well, what kind of lily-livered leadership is there in the Republican Party? Now, this is partly rhetorical, that would permit this absolute farce to persist without consequence, without result.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hand-wringing and sort of woe is me, but there's no one will step up and say, look, we're headed down a path of disaster. It may be that they have to lose the House in 2018, and the country will be subjected to the next 2 years straight of 24/7 impeachment talk.
This spiral of doom in which that would occur is not one from which we would be likely to recover. I think we've gone just about as far down that spiral as we possibly should have to even imagine.